Hello again. So I'm Miss Brown in the garden, although tonight I'm in the kitchen, partly because it is nighttime, but also I thought I would use some things that you might find in the kitchen to talk about the parts of the plant. We'll come back about parts of the plant again and again, but this one is quite a fun activity and involves smelling and memory and language. So let's get cracking. So let's remind ourselves the different parts of the plant first of all. So if you imagine me as a plant, down there in the ground are my roots. So let's call them my toes. So they're going down buried into the ground. That's my roots. And then my body is the stem. And in a tree, we'd call that the trunk. And actually, in fact, in a body, we call it the trunk as well. And then I have got, at the end of my arms, I've got my leaves. And then here is my beautiful flower, which I'm hoping, if I'm successful, will attract some pollinators to come and collect dust off my nose, and they'll go and visit another flower. And then these bits will turn into fruit and then seeds. Okay, so let's talk about them in terms of things you might find in the kitchen. So I'm going to start at the bottom again. Okay, and so I have got a herb here. And when I say herb, I mean herb and spice. Out in the garden, we call them all herbs, but in the kitchen, if it's something floppy from a plant, like a leaf or a flower or petals, that kind of thing, that gets called a herb. But otherwise, we call them spices. So in this case, this is something you would call a spice, and this is ginger. Now, I'm not going to get into the technical bit about why it's sort of not a root. It's rooty enough that actually, if you go into the supermarket, you buy a piece of ginger root. People will say, here's some ginger root. Okay. But technically it's not, but it's good enough for today. All right. So what I'd expect you to do, get some of this ginger and then open up the pot. And perhaps if you're doing this with your children, you'd actually cover it up so they don't know what it is, so that the language of ginger is not already giving them an idea. And then tell them to take a gentle sniff. Ooh, hang on. Mmm. Now I like that. And I'm thinking, oh, what does that make me think? What words are in my head when I'm smelling this? Apart from mmm. Oh, oh, it's got a taste. It smells like it tastes or something. It smells like it's warm. It smells like it's sweet. Um, yeah, it makes me feel cozy. And then of course it's ginger, and you can talk about the fact that ginger might get used in gingerbread. We might have it at Christmas, and it has got a warming taste to it. Okay, so that's ginger. So that's our roots. Now let's have a think about stems. And what I've got here is cinnamon. So Christmas, or if you're a hot chocolate fan, hang on, get them with you, get them out for you. So this is cinnamon bark. Oh, just got a smell of it then, it's lovely. um, so this is cinnamon bark, and if you can get these, they're called quills, but they're the bark rolled up. It becomes more obvious that they're bark. They're hard, and they feel tough, and you can snap them, but so you can smell that, and you get a kind of a subtle smell from there, or you can get a jar of it. And here again, you're going to say, all right, maybe breathe out through your nose first, a little snort, clear the tubes. Okay, now we're going to breathe it in again, but gently again. Okay, don't want to go and inhale it. Here we go. Ooh. Now that one is different to ginger, definitely. So this bit of bark, what does this make me think of? It smells a bit sour to me. Um, Makes me think of cleaning. I don't know why. And like creamy. Anyway, I kind of like it, not as much as the ginger, but one thing I do know is that this was used as a kind of a mummification spice by the Egyptians. I think it was had a kind of an maybe antiseptic or antibacterial cleaning thing. So that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I'm going to put that one away. I'm not a huge fan of it. I do prefer the bark itself more. So what we have, we've had gone for the ground up. We've got roots. We've done the bark. Let's have a look at leaves. So I don't often use leaves. I've got a few here. I don't often use dried herbs as leaves because I've usually got them growing in the garden. And to be honest, I'd rather just go and get some fresh, and I quite like that feel of smelling them as I'm using them, and I crumble them in, and you can mess around with thyme and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's good to have them on hand. So I've got sage, dried sage, and I've got dried oregano. And I've also got, which makes it very clear that they're leaves. These are uh, bay leaves. Okay. So you can very clearly see those are bay. Right. So let's have a look at, I'm going to put the sage away. Oregano. The oregano is something you probably are cooking with. So let's take the lid off and have a look. It looks kind of dry and dusty and whatever. Let's have a smell of this one. Hmm. Now that's interesting. I don't like that smell. I do not like that smell, and I cook with this a lot. And my hunch would be that a little goes a long way. So what I'm going to do instead of sniffing that whole lot, I'm going to put it out in my hand and I can have a look at it, and then I can smell it. And it definitely tastes savoury. I wouldn't want that in a cake. And you might have someone say, oh, it makes you think of pizza or something like that. But for me, it makes me think of woodland. And I don't particularly like it, but I do like cooking with it, and I think it has a different scent when I'm using it fresh. But that's the leaves. And then I have got two types of fruit seeds. So I don't have any flowers, but if I had some chamomile tea bags, those are often made with chamomile flowers, so you could use them. But I'm going to go for here. I've got juniper berries, and the grown-ups amongst us will know what we use juniper berries for, but that's another story. But also they're used for pickling, adding a flavour to pickling. So uh, let's have a little smell. Actually, I'm going to get them out and show you. Okay, so these are juniper berries. Can you see there? Okay, so juniper from the juniper tree, and they're berries, but they're dried. Oops, I just dropped one. So you can actually have a look at it. Can I smell anything? Oh, I can, and it smells chemical, I would say. Yeah, not a big fan of that one either. That smells like chemical and car wash or something. Bit bitter, that kind of thing. But anyway, so there's juniper. And then my last one is here, cardamom pods. So, oh, this one's cheating. It actually says on the front, sweet and citrusy. So definitely, if you're doing this at home, cover it up, all right? Don't tell people what it is, or put them in a new jar. But let's get this out. So these are ooh, cardamom seed pods, okay? And so with a little bit of, they're not too hard. They're not like the juniper berries. They are actually seed pods. So with your fingernails, she said, I didn't practice this one, did I? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I'm breaking it up. And hang on, can you see? Oh, it's a bit close, isn't it? Sorry, doesn't really like it. In here, that's the open pod. And I can tell you that what will come out will be some seeds. And I'm going to just rub them to kind of release some of the smell. Okay, so I'm rubbing that. And if you had a mortar and pestle, you could do that. Just bash them with a rolling pin or something. But they're hard. They're definitely hard and kind of dried up and orangey brown. And orangey brown is a good clue for me because they do smell a bit orange peely. So I'm actually, I've had stuff where I've used cardamom and orange, so that makes sense to me. So there we go. So that's a starter for you in terms of being able to associate different things and using the language of parts of the plant. If you have any of this as the kind of the fresh material, if you have ginger root that you've got from the supermarket, you can show, look, it really does look like what it's supposed to be. Or you might have these things growing outdoors, and you can then go and let's have a look at them and have a feel. But really, it's about using the smell to see what it evokes, to see what language, memories, all that kind of thing might come up, whilst also reminding yourself the different parts of the plant. And then go nuts, go cooking afterwards. I mean, I do feel in the mood for doing some gingerbread making now, but I suspect I'm more likely to just settle down with a hot chocolate and then just stir one of these in there because it's been a long day. Anyway, hope that was fun. Catch you again soon. Bye.